Let them kill us all and we'll stand and watch. Well, brother, that ain't for me. I'll be running and a jumping and a skipping and a bopping when it blow me to smithereens.
Hello, lovelies. This is going to present a challenge because this adventure by Mr. James Edward Raggi IV is called Don't Fuck the Priest, and it features boobies on the front. So already YouTube hates it, and I always feel when I have to censor something for visibility or to keep my channel operational, but here we all are, and here we unfortunately shall have to stay. So, Don't Fuck the Priest. It's an adventure by Jim Raggi. It's in a box. The box is roughly the same size as the old boxed set of Lamentations, which is going to work out handily for me, I think, because my cats abruptly decided one day that they absolutely had to destroy the old cardboard box. So I'm going to have to use this one to keep my Lamentations books in, which is fun, I suppose. It's a more plasticky box than the other one, so perhaps a little more hard-wearing, but I feel like when it goes, it's going to go something proper. So it is a boxed set, kind of, which means it costs more here in the UK because boxed games count as luxuries. It contains a book, a pair of peculiar dice, and a deck of cards, which all relates to the adventure. So, Don't Fuck the Priest isn't exactly an adventure in and of itself. It is more of an encounter in which you enter a fungal mass formed from the bodies of hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dead people. So, rotting, mouldy, fungus-infested people, all kind of moulded together into a maze-like, ever-shifting structure of gunk and corpses. And it's full of all the kinds of horrors and so on that you would come to expect. Now, usual excuses and alerts. I'm friends with Jim, and he sent me this stuff for free to review. And I normally don't like adventures very much because I don't find them to be that worthwhile, that much value for money, and so on. So just bear in mind that might be biasing my score and so on here. It is a hardback book with a cutaway cover. It's a very dense, thick cover. It runs to around 60-65 pages. It's printed matte. The background is perhaps a little dark for some of you. With the text, you might find yourselves straining your eyes a little bit. I know that's an issue for some people, but you can probably get the PDF alongside it, and then you can zoom in and your old eyes won't have to strain quite so hard. As it's an adventure, I can't really go into too much detail without spoiling it, but what it amounts to is this massive fungal maze of corpses that you can delve into. There are monsters and horrific encounters and some specific locations within the place, and it's ever changing, so that can be confusing and difficult and annoying. In other games, there are some dungeons that notoriously had rotating rooms and so on, and it could be a bit hard to keep track of if you didn't have an actual game board or whatever. But the way this works is that you dole out cards as you go along. I haven't shuffled them very much, but you can see how... Yeah, I haven't shuffled them very much at all. Let's give that another go. Okay, but you can see how they kind of fit together, and there are dead ends and so on. The other thing is that, obviously, as you explore, old cards disappear and rejoin the deck. And so it's always changing. Finding a way out is more challenging than finding a way in. and there are certain specific locations, and there are other cards which mean you have to draw several locations at once, and you hit all of that stuff at the same time. And that's the heart of it. That's the gimmick of it, along with the special dice, obviously, because people are dice goblins, people are card goblins, people like boxes, even though they make things more expensive, you know, all that jazz. So it's a gimmicky box thing, right? There's no getting away from it. That is what it is. But the gimmick is one that works. I used a similar idea in Penny Tower, where you used a tarot deck and laid it out as the architecture of the place was constantly shifting and changing. Here you've got the card deck that lays out and then vanishes again. You know, it works as a mechanic, and cards are something that is relatively easy to produce. There are lots of printers who will handle cards of normal type. I probably would have preferred if these had gone all the way to the edge, but guaranteeing alignment and so on is tricky. They're not hugely robust cards, but good enough for the amount that you'll be playing this, I think. One thing I felt was a little bit kind of missing in the book was I can really see this, or versions of this, doing the similar sort of thing. I can see this really working well for solo players, which is a bigger and bigger thing all the time, right? With a randomized dungeon, never quite knowing what you're going to be running into, that's appealing. Plus, this has a reason to be random and odd and to be ever shifting because it is made of moving corpses. So there's a rationale for the randomness, for the peculiarities, for how strange the whole place turns out to be, you know, and how you can run into the same place twice or whatever. And it's a different tempo to exploring than you have with fixed locations, and I think it keeps a lot of that edginess, never knowing quite where you're going to be safe, whether you should press on or whether that's just gonna make things worse. So I think this is a pretty neat little thing. In terms of style, it's just a little bit of polish and finish that, for me, stops it scoring as highly as it otherwise would. The box isn't very neatly finished, but it is tougher than the previous box, so it should stand up to a bit more abuse. The dice are nice, the cards are nice, but could be better. The matte color printing on the pages, this is one of the few instances where I think a gloss might have been better, because it would have brought out the sort of shininess and slickness of the rot and have been a bit more evocative in that sort of way. And I almost think he should have gone for colours that are a bit more lurid and varied. You know, you get light blue mould, grey mould, green mould, white mould, yeah, more colours. It's all these tiny little things that I personally might have gone for something different, just to add that polish to really elevate it. So style wise then, I mean, it's got all these little flourishes and the normal production standard. It's just those little stylistic tweaks so that are missing. So a very low for style. In terms of substance, I mean, it's essentially cards as a random table for locations, an ever-shifting map, some specified locations and encounters and ideas in the book. It is reusable to an extent because it is semi-random, and you could reuse the cards by rewriting the entries if you wanted to have it be different a second time it was encountered, or if you wanted to come back to it with a different group. It wouldn't be that much work to do some custom fuckery with it and make it work again a second or a third time. And as I say, it's got value as something for solo play, though you'll need to have a reasonably high level character to survive by yourself, I think, going through here. So in terms of substance, this is much more weighty than a lot of other material and adventures that you get. So I'm going to give it a 4 for substance. And that's more of a middling 4. So low 4 for style, middle 4 for substance. That's still 8 out of 10, 4 out of 5, but a low to mid 4 out of 5. Still good. I think it's going to be really good for some people, and for other people they're going to be disappointed in it. If you like randomness, and you like cards and widgets and doodads, and perhaps if you're more into your solo play or one-on-one play, you might get a bit more mileage out of it, but it's worth it for the idea, which various other people have done, including me. But Jim's approach is worth looking at, certainly from a designer's perspective, I think, as well as a player's. So there you go. 4 out of 5. Pretty damn good. Zang. My Own Dungeon with blackjack and hookers. A very simple and brutal print and fold pocket RPG for killing things, taking their stuff, engaging with nonsense, and spending your ill-gotten gains on ale and whores. No copyright or anything. Hack, share, upload. Just link back to me as a courtesy. Available at all the usual places.